Hello and welcome to This Week, a weekly news view program that brings you engaging stories on local politics and social affairs. My name is Anar Gambatar. Mongolian Film Festival in the UK was held on March 12th through 20th in London, Cambridge and Norwich. In each city, 15 feature-length and short films were screened, and the festival was organized by producer in Hwat, cultural envoy of Mongolia, Untitled, and actress TS.GENDENTSEVEEN, with support from the Embassy of Mongolia, Mongolian Ministry of Culture, and Adza Studio. On March 22nd, the Embassy of Mongolia in the United Kingdom hosted a panel discussion and closing reception for the film festival.
The panel discussion was moderated by Untitled, cultural envoy of Mongolia in the UK, and actress TS.GENDENTSEVEEN, who welcomed festival guests and Mongolian members of parliament on an official visit to the UK. Other guests included officials from the UK's Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office and international film industry professionals, including casting directors, filmmakers, screenwriters, film festival curators, marketing specialists, and other creatives. Undram Chimbat, chair of the Mongolia UK group in Parliament, congratulated the festival organizers on implementing the law on promotion of the film industry. The Parliament member noted that the government of Mongolia would support any collaboration between Mongolian and foreign filmmakers who use Mongolia as a location for filming.
Mongolian Film Festival was successfully organized in the UK. We ran the festival for 10 days in 3 different cities in London and Cambridge and Norwich. This is the last day, and we had a panel discussion. At our discussion, we had the presence of the Mongolian MPs, and particularly the MPs who are on standing committee on culture, sports and science.
Mongolian producer Inkhbat, who initiated the Mongolian Film Festival in the UK, gave a brief presentation on Mongolian cinema past and present. He spoke about the success Mongolian filmmakers have had in international film festivals such as Cannes, Busan, Locarno, Berlinale, and others, and ways that the government and the film industry could support Mongolia's independent filmmakers. UK producer Ian Allardyce, whose film Otbagige was screened at the Mongolian Film Festival in the UK, spoke about the co-production in Mongolia, based on his experience working on locally produced films and co-productions. He presented ideas for developing scripts, fundraising, and accessing international production events such as Focus, which would help Mongolia's creative explore the international market and co-production opportunities.
So my name's Ian, and I'm the co-director of Otbagege. They sing up on the hill, and we had a really good day today at the Mongolian Film Festival in London. We screened several films, and we've had like a couple hundred people have come, foreign people, Mongolian people who live in the UK, and so it was just such a nice experience to connect the community with these films. There's a lot of people, of course, that haven't visited Mongolia that watched the films, and the feedback we got afterwards was that, you know, it's really inspired them to come and visit. And we took a lot of questions from people about the films, and a lot of really curious young people, which is always the best thing, you know, interested about Mongolia and seeing something about Mongolia that they never saw before. So thanks a lot to the Embassy of Mongolia and the cultural envoy of Mongolia, Unro, and the organizer, Mr. Inkhbat. And yeah, it's a really fantastic thing to do after this awful time of COVID. So it's a really super day. Thanks.
Amar Tufshin Ganibal, a member of the Standing Committee on Education, Culture, Science and Sport and the Law on Promotion of the Film Industry Working Group, explained the incentives for international and domestic productions in the film promotion law, including a 30% cash rebate for qualifying films and TV productions taking place in Mongolia, an additional 10% cultural incentive for showcasing and highlighting Mongolian cultural heritage, and a 5% foreign crew and talent incentives. The panel discussion officially marked the end of the Mongolian Film Festival in the UK. The organizers expressed their gratitude to Ambassador Ingsuh Battumur, the Ministry of Culture, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, media partners Azaz Studio, and the festival's Mongolian filmmakers for their support and contributions to making the film festival a success. The organizers also thanked the British and international guests present for the panel discussion and said that they hope to hold the festival annually.
A consultative meeting on emerging issues in the education sector was held on Monday at the Mongolian National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. The consultative meeting was focused on the cooperation between vocational training centers and employers.
We should find an optimal solution for reducing the gap between workforce demand and supply. We all know that Mongolian universities and vocational training centers currently fail to prepare the necessary workforce in demand by local companies. The more the gap between demand and supply grows, the more it will create social problems like unemployment and poverty. Data shows that around 100,000 working-age people are unemployed in Mongolia. Sadly, the majority of unemployed people are young people with undergraduate degrees.
There are 88 higher education institutions and universities in Mongolia where around 150,000 students pursue their studies. In contrast, there are 68 technical and vocational training centers with a total of 40,000 students enrolled. The Minister of Education and Sciences noted that there are problems within the overall education system. High school graduates with financial resources pursue university degrees, while kids from poor backgrounds go to technical and vocational training centers because of the monthly stipend offered by the government. Meanwhile, graduates with degrees and vocational training are equally important in the labor market.
For example, there are 10,000 students who graduate from TVTs each year. While there are another 20,000 vacancies at major companies, in addition, an Oyutala welder receives a monthly salary of 5 million tugruk, while an office clerk with a bachelor's degree has a salary of 1 million tugruk.
According to a recent survey, only 1 out of 3 university graduates finds employment in their field of study. But the labor market still has a high demand for a professional workforce. The consultative meeting participants noted the importance of cooperation between educational institutions, major employers, and the Mongolian National Chamber of Commerce and Industry to create a workforce that meets the labor market's demands.
The Mongolia Economic Forum will be held on April 7th and 8th as part of the Government of Mongolia's economic revival policy. From March 21st through 29th, preliminary discussions between state and private entities are being held for the forum, covering issues such as transport and customs.
On March 28th, a discussion on recovery for border checkpoint operations was held at the Mongolian Customs General Administration Office.
Lately, the Mongolian Customs General Administration has been implementing several reforms. We are working to introduce some reforms at border checkpoints by upgrading equipment and tools and introducing digital solutions. One notable example is the introduction of smart port systems. For example, before, vehicles entering border checkpoints were recorded by a customs inspector. Now, with the introduction of digital solutions, if a vehicle is pre-registered with a customs database, cameras will scan vehicle license plate numbers to facilitate easy passage across the border. We plan to introduce this new system to 5 major border checkpoints, including Zamyut, Алтанбулак, Gashonsukhat, Shuehurung, and Borsho. Gashonsukhat has already partially introduced the system for freight transport. Currently, infrastructure development work is being conducted at the 4 remaining ports. Once their operation resumes, the new system will be utilized.
The Mongolian Customs General Administration reports that the Borsho border checkpoint will resume operations in September 2022.
Ahead of the 2022 Mongolia Economic Forum, discussions are taking place on 6 main topics for the implementation of the Government of Mongolia's new revival policy. On Tuesday, Green Finance Regional Forum was held at the Government Palace.
President Khrushchev delivered the forum's opening remarks.
Over the past 170 years, global surface temperatures have risen by 1.09%, and many species are becoming extinct. Mongolia emits 0.1% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions, but is one of the countries that are most affected by climate change.
Climate change impacts in Mongolia have intensified over the past 80 years, with the average air temperature increasing by 2.25 degrees, twice the world average. Desertification has affected 76.9% of Mongolia's territory, covering 120 million hectares, half of which is classified as severely desertified. Compared to 1990, the number of climate change-related natural disasters in Mongolia has tripled in the last decade. In 2016, Mongolia set a goal to reduce its greenhouse gas emissions by 22.7% by 2030. During the 2021 UN Climate Change Conference, Mongolia announced that it was possible to raise the target level to 27.2% by introducing advanced technology and innovation and increasing green financing mechanisms. The suggestions and recommendations put forth during the forum will be presented during the plenary session of the Mongolian Economic Forum. The forum will be held on April 7th and 8th. The Office of the President of Mongolia, Ministry of Environment and Tourism, and the Mongolian Sustainable Finance Association are organizing the forum with support from the Ministry of Finance, Bank of Mongolia, Financial Regulatory Commission, Mongolian Bankers Association, International Finance Corporation, United Nations Development Programme, and European Bank for Reconstruction and Development.
The Embassy of the Republic of India in Mongolia organized the Indian Fashion and Sari Show to promote Indian culture and fashion at the Diamond Hall of the Blue Sky Hotel on March 30th.
The show was opened by the spouse of the Ambassador of the Republic of India to Mongolia, Mrs. Gumir Kaur. At this event, a lot of representatives from many fields observed the fashion show and they paid attention to all the beautiful saris. This show included 3 rounds. At the show, many kinds of cultural performances were staged by Mongolian folk artists, the Mongolian Yoga Federation, and Children's Palace, and the visitors were treated to traditional Indian food.
This is the first time we are organizing a sari show in Mongolia, and in this sari show we are having all the dresses from north part of India and south part of India. So it's a kind of very unique event, fashion show. There are kind of 30 types of saris, the different kinds of saris from south, east, north and west. So just like Mongolian Dil, sari is a very unique attire and a very graceful dress for Indian women. This is about so many Mongolians, they ask about Indian dresses, and especially after watching Buddha serial, they loved Indian dresses, Indian jewelry. So I thought of, we are going to have an International Women's Day, why not to showcase our Indian dresses.
The sari is a quintessential dress that exists in different forms in 28 states of India, with each region having a distinct way of design, weaving, tie and dye, brocade and even unique draping style. Yet it remains the mystic charm and traditional look. There are over 30 types of saris in India.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate the Embassy of India, my good friend Gurmeet, and of course the ambassador for putting up such a great show. It was fantastic. The colors and just the warmth that you feel for the country of India. I am so grateful to be invited and part of this show. I love this and it is my colors. And so I am looking forward to visiting India in the near future.
I am attending this event with Indian folk music performance. To tell the truth, I never had a chance to perform in sari. It was my first time wearing sari, and you know it has some rules and sequence of putting it on. Even the scarf has its own ethics. It was quite an interesting experience.
The sari is a unique symbol of rich Indian culture, tradition, heritage, and ancestry. It is a 6-yard magic transformation that has remained in fashion for the last several centuries in India. This evergreen and graceful attire known as sari is even today the preferred dress for any Indian woman, be it for wedding, festivities, or routine outing. Switches of silk sari, weave a fantasy and readily make an Indian woman look an epitome of grace and embodiment of confidence. It gives the woman a mystifying palette of emotions, a sea of strength, and a picture of elegance, and makes her shine in any crowd, providing a touch of sparkle.
A number of factors have contributed to the decline in the value of Tugruk, which has been stable for years. Experts warn that the Bank of Mongolia and commercial banks must create very good expectations for citizens in the short term to increase the value of Tugruk, and the gold would be one of the most valuable factors.
Business activity, which had been kind of inactive for the past 2 years, has been supported by increased demand for foreign currency, especially in developing countries around Russia. Demand has also been boosted in the short term by people's interest in converting their savings into US dollars at the price set by the private money changers, who make up less than 10% of the foreign exchange market. In the future, the exchange rate will be determined by supply and demand, depending on how market expectations are managed.
In order to manage the economy properly, it is wrong to try to manage the economy in a rigid way just by working on hard numbers, rather than on the expectations of the people and the expectations of foreign investors. So we have to ensure the stability of the Tugruk. To do this, we must give confidence to our citizens. We must give Mongolians the confidence that they can exchange their Tugruks for dollars at any time.
Since the beginning of the year, the Bank of Mongolia has purchased 2.4 tons of gold from local mining companies. The market value of what it has bought is about $160 million US, and it has been added to its foreign exchange reserves. Economists advise to increase dollar-earning mining exports in order to keep exchange rates stable in the future. In other words, today's problems will be fundamentally improved by increasing the export of gold, silver, copper, and copper concentrates and supporting the flow of money.
Gold is a world-renowned commodity at a time of economic downturn, so the use of gold is still constant. If there is inflation, they buy gold. Let's increase gold production. Mongolia's dollar reserves are declining. This country buys all the equipment, machinery and equipment in dollars. So this dollar will be replaced by gold. So if you don't understand this, if you lose the gold mining season this spring, it means that the government is doing very badly.
The central bank tightened monetary policy against inflation and raised interest rates sharply by 2.5%. Construction, mining, and agriculture are the main sectors of the economy. For borrowers, the increase in the policy rate is a signal that loans will decrease in the market, which will increase costs.
Therefore, it is not very effective policy to increase interest rates in this way. The main reason for the rise in consumer prices this year is related to customs. Transportation costs have risen sharply. So if we can fix these problems and reduce cost inflation, we can reduce the rise in consumer prices. So the role of the government is very important.
The economy, which was projected to grow 5% this year, has actually shrunk by 2.5%. As a result, inflation expectations have changed. More than 7,000 sanctions against Russia affect not only Mongolia but the rest of the world. Therefore, the Ministry of Industry has informed us that it is working to determine the number of mines that will be added to the gold order in the near future to start the project and start gold production as soon as possible.
Well, that's all for this week. We'll see you next week with more news and updates. Have a nice weekend. Goodbye.